Hey there, my name is Jeff Schneider, and I'm in a band called Terrapin here in the Northeast. We play all over the Northeast, and we encourage everybody to come see us all over, frankly, New York, Connecticut, some in New Jersey, and Long Island. Anyway, I thought I'd actually do a series of lessons to try to append what's already out. And there's some great stuff out there. So I encourage you to look at a bunch of people's interpretations of this music. It's a fantastic time to be playing Grateful Dead. There's a ton of material out there and available. And everybody has a slightly different interpretation of how to play. My specialty, I think, is going to be focused on the Garcia parts, because that's what I do in Terrapin, and I think it's a lot easier to focus on one thing rather than to try to squeeze both parts into one lesson. So for other folks who tend to do the Bob Weir parts, there's fantastic information out there, and I encourage you to go find that. With that said, the way I'm going to try to do these lessons is to do what folks want me to do, because I have a pretty big catalog that we play, and I'm glad to try to share some of this back the way I interpret it, which doesn't mean that it's absolutely perfect. I don't claim to be a perfect replica of anybody. I think we all bring something unique to the table when we play guitar, and our interpretations and my interpretations are a collection of my experiences plus what I've learned over the years, especially around the way Garcia plays. I think it's important to keep what he does in perspective, because the audiences want to hear certain things, and so trying to play those licks and getting to them is important, but interpreting them in your own format is what's fun. So with that said, I think I'm going to start here with Alabama Getaway. It's the top of the alphabet, and I don't see a lot of material out there on it. It's a relatively easy song, so I thought I'd get started and take it from there. For those who would like other songs, just drop me a note on this video, and we'll try to get to them when we can. So for Alabama Getaway, the structure of the song is a traditional 3-chord blues 1-4-5 motifs. It's in A, and you'll notice that most of the song follows the exact pattern that most blues tunes follow in that 1-4-5. So you have your traditional motif where it's just that little piece at the end that strikes a little bit different tone for this, which is typical of the Dead. That little 1-chord extension that gets us to the A is a C chord. It's as if we're borrowing an A up on the 5th fret. It's the back end of a C chord. So after you play the A, D, and E, C. It's the transition chord back to the A, which makes all the difference. I think you have to take into consideration when you're doing that piece is that it actually differs on timing between the regular verse, which is exactly how I just played it coming out of the E, a little bit delay, and when it comes out of the chorus, where it's actually quicker. So in that situation, you're coming out of the get away, Alabama, get away, just walk away. So it comes right away, and that transitions right back into the A, D, and E. The song starts a bit different. It starts actually on the 5. And the whole band will come in at the same time. So it starts on the E. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you're right into the verse. Garcia's parts for the main verse are honestly just that 1-4-5 blues lick. Over and over and over again until you get to the chorus. So there's 2 If I remember, there are 2 verses and then the first solo, which is really, over the actual chorus, not over the verse. And so, again, remember, a shorter wait time between that and the transition back to the A. But and you can play that 3 or 4 times. Our band does it 3 times, but it actually doesn't really matter. It depends on how much we're grooving and how much we want to play. But it's just over the chorus. And then there's 2 more verses. And then we do a keyboard solo, which is exactly how the Dead did it, especially in the Brent years. I don't remember if they kept it up during the Vince years, but definitely during the Brent years. And there are 2 more verses, and then there's another guitar solo, which is an extended guitar solo, and really had no definitive end. It really came down to what did Garcia want to do and where the band was following him. And so sometimes it was as few as 2 or 3, and sometimes as many as 6 or 7, but it ended on the same thing, on that same ending, that turnaround. So if you get through the verse and you get to the chorus, you do the turnaround, you do your solos. I mean, now we can just talk about, and the ending, as I said, just follows the chorus. The solos are interesting because they're a compilation of, this is typical Garcia, they're a compilation the way I play them, of the blues scale, which is sort of a little extra, a couple of blue notes in there, and some of the major pentatonic and minor pentatonic scales. And so Garcia will often play your traditional pentatonic, he'll also play the major pentatonic, which is got that major note here rather than the minor. And that major makes a lot of difference, but he kind of, in this particular song, intermixes the 2. And the blues scale, which can also be a little bit of a variant sort of on the Mixolydian scale, so just add, but you do a lot more chromatics. So it's, here. So you have a couple of notes thrown in there that, and a lot of chromatics that make a different scale. So you can imagine soloing over that is just a mixture of playing, your blues scale in A minor here, a little bit of the major pentatonic blues scale, and then you can move it up the neck a little bit on a vertical basis. So that's one of the ways to do it. Or you can move it back to your 5th fret and go back to that minor and major pentatonic and sort of come into the typical Jerry licks, which are always great to throw in because they give a little substance to it, and more of those blues licks. So you can do those kind of things and just mess around with it. Again, there's a lot of room for improvisation in this tune. It's a traditional blues, crescendo that builds and builds and builds. It's a great song to either open a show with or open a second set because it kind of gets the fingers used to playing at that time and warmed up, and it's a relatively easy tune for the band to concentrate on without having to worry about a ton of chord changes, and fairly simple. So I hope the last thing I'll talk about is the effects that are used when playing this particular song. A lot of people don't spend so much time talking about this. I think it's actually quite important. So in Grateful Dead world, the effects that Garcia used, or Weir for that matter, are really important to capturing the essence of that song. In this particular song, there's two ways to play it, depending on which solo you're playing in and frankly what mood you're in. In my particular case, I like to play the first solo almost without effect, but my guitar is actually built to handle sort of a mini distorted sound, which is really the essence of the Wolf, which is what this guitar is built off of. With using the blaster that's inside the guitar and it sort of forces an early breakup of the sound, you get a lot of that effect that you're looking for that Garcia obviously used in his blues tunes. But so you can play it that way. I can move it into the SDS1 pickup, which is a single coil pickup, and actually turn down the tone a bit, but get a very broken up sound as well. There's another way to do it. Or you can engage the effects loop, which in this particular case I have the MXR script logo modified for 76, 77 script logo sound, which is what Garcia used at the time. I just love it. It's got that really nasty, gritty distortion. Alabama Getaway, obviously he used the Tiger guitar, but he used this exclusively. And I have it set at about, distortion at about just over 3 o'clock, and the output at about 2 o'clock, which in my rig works well. So in that sound you can obviously notice. So again, it's all dependent on how you feel and how you play, and honestly, what you can get out of your rig. But for me, that's the way I play it. So I hope this helps, and look forward to doing more of these if everybody wants them. Thanks again.